Hi, I'm Rob from Hopsing. Thanks for joining me for another video beer review. And this time it's one of these style showcases I do. And the one this time I'm doing is, it's pretty niche. It is British brewed West Coast IPA. There's maybe a slightly misunderstood style, maybe a slightly maligned style. But let's find out. I mean, I love West Coast IPA. I love an old school West Coast. I love a new school West Coast. And we're going to look at some examples by some prominent British breweries. Yeah, I think it's one of the things that people have issues with, the modern West Coast. It's a little bit of a misunderstanding. I think a lot of people are expecting that kind of old West Coast kind of like bitter bite. That just doesn't exist anymore. It's definitely gone in a different direction. I will get some more details on that later. I'll do a bit of a fucking live Google search. I'm recording this live on YouTube, but you'll see this as a video after the fact, and find out some more details about it. But from what I remember, this goes back to like 2014 was when I actually visited San Diego, and it was very much the kind of peak of craft beer in the UK, I'd say, especially beer tube. I mean, I think that was at its peak really at that point. And but it was the early days of this approach that it was all about whirlpool hopping. My mate Ryan over used to do the San Diego beer vlog. He would use the term burst hopping. So it was all about kind of like late kettle hopping and stuff like that. We weren't going nuts on the dry hopping as New England IPA is, but they were definitely heading more towards more flavor, more aromatics. Even then, this is pre kind of like the boom of the hazies. So let's get some of these into a glass and crack on. So the first one I'm going to be looking at is one of my favourite breweries in the UK. The wonderful Azvex from Liverpool. This is their Bumblebee Bandit, West Coast IPA at 6.5% ABV. The Goodman Jack, is it 6.5? No, 6.8. The Goodman Jack over at Azvex knows this stuff. I've had a few from these guys. I'm curious what this one is. It's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, even I think, still kind of hanker after a bit of, when I pick up something that says West Coast, I'm still hankering after the kind of that bitter bite. It's just not there anymore. That's fine. As long as we kind of like, we've got to get his head around it as beer drinkers, I'd say. So I'm going to review all these and I'll give you a bit of spiel. We'll do the untapped thing like I always do. And I've got a nice little video that kind of sums up kind of what modern West Coast is. Anyway, let's crack on with some beer drinking because I'm bloody thirsty and I want to get some beer soaked. And I mean, got to get into them before they get warm. So beer, let's see, a very slight protein haze, but very pale, looks like lager in a lot of ways. It's super pale golden beer, pure, a very brief head. So swirl, sniff, let's check out the aroma. Now took my nose off then. Swirl it again. Yeah, not much head. That's nice. I'm getting melon, it's like freshly cut grass. There's a slightly watery orange, maybe something that's heading towards watermelon. Yeah, kind of like maybe a digestive biscuit. It's like juicy fruit, bubblegum as well. It smells nice, smells really inviting, and maybe a slight hint of elderflower as well. I'm absolutely spitting feathers. Perfect kind of beer to slake your thirst. Let's dive in. Cheers. That's an interesting one. It's not bitterness as such, but there is a bite, which keeps it kind of crisp and refreshing. From all accounts, I think there's a lot of the moving away from what I understood when I was a home brewer. I mean, I was drinking mainly brewing West Coast style pale ales and IPAs. And the malt bill that I used to use was given to me by Evan at Colonel. It was what they were using at the time, and it was essentially just load of pale malt. I mean, initially it was Marisotto, but then they went down and let an extra pale malt. That's probably what they're doing. Still using for a lot of their stuff these days. So extra pale, and it had a little bit of Cara, a little bit of Munich malt, a little bit of Cara. because they said what it used to be in America. American two-row barley isn't as characterful as something like Marisotto, so therefore they had to put other stuff in to kind of bring a bit more malt character into the kind of equation. But I always found sometimes, and it was sometimes good, sometimes it was shit, was crystal malt. Not a biggest fan of crystal malt. I think it can take you a direction where I don't want to go. But this is lovely. Yeah, crisp as you'd expect. It's a really fine, you feel it in your tongue, really fine carbonation. I mean, it's not a fizzy beer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not baggy and flat. Lemon lime. Grapefruit. I'm definitely getting a grape note in there as well. What hops we got in this? What's it say? Simcoe. All Simcoe. So, that's another thing. Simcoe's changed. I mean, when you think of West Coast, Simcoe is a prominent hop in West Coast IPA history. But back then, everybody always said cat piss and stuff like that. I'm like, I think, especially British brewers, I think just generally, I think hops are better in a lot of ways these days. And the selection that brewers have been kind of like doing it for a while and have got a good hop contract can often get a real fucking cream pick of hops and can extract some really interesting characteristics. Give me this blind, I'd have gone more mosaic. I know there's a commonality between the two, but it's definitely got that kind of slightly juicy fruit, bubblegum thing going on in there. But yeah, it is dank, but it's fresh and immediate and crisp, which is an absolute treat. Aftertaste, yeah, I said it is kind of bitter. It's not what we think of bitter. I had a kind of Spaceman from Brewfish recently. That was, I mean, and during that kind of like hype of those highs of like 2014, that kind of thing. I know it's me just fucking living in my glory days, but it is what it is. I mean, it was really a fucking peak of beer on YouTube in a lot of ways. And the community, and before the kind of maybe things have, maybe just generally, this is a bigger question that I'm going a bit raggy live on this one, aren't I? I mean, but I think before things got too popular, there was a real buzz around beer. But I think because it's so common, good beer these days, which is no bad thing, that there was a real buzz, and which is maybe not there anymore in a lot of ways. And some people don't get excited as they once did. But you mean this Brewfish Spaceman was a fucking Italian brewery, height of Italian kind of craft beer, I'd say. I don't think they're what they used to be. But Brewfist still going strong as well. It was a really good West Coast IPA. I had a can the other week, and it was still banging. It was like stepping back in time. It was piney and resinous and all that business. It was lovely. So I'm going to jump on the old Untapped, and we can have a look at the ratings of this one, and then we're going to have a watch of a little video of what I found on YouTube, which I found really useful. I think if you're a West Coast IPA nut, if you fucking love West Coast IPA, you're a bit down on West Coast IPA, oh, it's not beer off. Yeah, just got to understand things have changed, and that's not a bad thing. I'm probably doing a lot of fucking reminiscing, but I mean, what's the point in living the life I have if I don't give myself the opportunity to live in those glory days? Right then, so Bumblebee Bandit from Azvex, and this is another thing you'll notice on Untapped ratings, as it says on here, modern West Coast IPA. That's the important thing. 391. I mean, you'll get a lot of this. People just don't give modern West Coast, especially British brewed ones, 4s and above. It's just, I think we've been ruined in a lot of ways. Piney and light. I don't know about that. I mean, I think the rating's pretty much spot on. I think it's nice. I don't think it's incredible, but I think it's very nice. There we go. Anybody else? Anybody else want to have a chat about this? Come on, we're looking around 4s and 4.5s, and I think that's why a pair of socks there. I've got some of them. Very nice. They're very nice. shame a lot of people aren't drinking these on no tap at the wonderful Azvex tap room, which I absolutely love. He's going a bit higher. Is Nick Bradbury? Good on you, Nick. I've got some nice t-shirts. So glad it's nothing kind of like scandalous on my on my sidebar. Let's see if there's some of the others. But everybody's getting like 4,500. Oh, here we go. We got Graham Cylinder drinking it at home in a can. The West Coastest West Coast I've had in ages, and it's from one of my favourite breweries. Very pleased I've ordered more. Yeah. Oh, I've got a bloody bit of Carcally. That's what you like. Is that looks like old Carcally? That does. It's similar. Oh, there you go. Once again, back in the heyday of craft beer in the UK. Whatever. Oh, he's got a nice glass. Is that the top? Oh, that was the tap. Fantastic. Zunderwerk. Yeah, it's nice to see people drinking out of the tap room. It's a fantastic tap. But yeah, so there you go. I mean, that's what people are thinking about the that beer, the Bumblebee Bandit from Azvex. As I said, a lovely, lovely beer. Right, so let me jump on the old YouTube. Stop screen on that one. Right. Share screen. Share. Here we go. So this is a channel called Firm Family Brewers. They're from Oregon. And there's this chap. This video is all about modern West Coast IPA, and it's kind of like he has a bit of history about it, and then he starts talking about what New England became, and then where we are now. And this is his little. It's just like a minute where he sums up what modern West Coast IPA is, and I think it's really important. If you've got an interest in West Coast, if you're fucking banging on about not being bitter anymore, I love bitterness. Yes, I love it. You still find bitterness in different beers, but modern West Coast IPA is not it. Anyway, let's have a listen to this chap.
And then we've seen now West Coast IPA is back. It is now brighter and less bitter than it used to be. It has huge hop aromatics similar to the hazy IPA, but on a much leaner, drier base body with big, juicy, fruity flavors, a touch of cannabis notes, and overall great drinkability.
There you go. That's really interesting. And I mean, the bit that he goes into, I think that just sums it up really nicely. It's still clean. Bitterness has gone, dropped down. Brightness of the beer is still there. But it's all about flavor, aromatics, stuff like that. So it's things that have probably been learned. I mean, as I said, this was being talked about when I was in California in 2014. Ryan was talking about this kind of new style that was coming through. Anyway, bitterness was maybe dropping, and then the flavor and aroma was all what it was all about. I mean, I was dry hopping my home brews like a fucker as well. I mean, going for gold with it. I mean, because that's what I wanted. Bitterness, I love it, but I mean, this is where it was going, and you can see where the kind of the explosion of the hazies bringing absolutely bagloads of flavor and aroma. I mean, when can you those casual beer drinkers, can you bring them back to old school West Coast IPA? I don't think you can. So you've got to find some middle ground. You've got the drinkability, the clarity. People got issues with the haze and stuff. Maybe you don't quite have the drinkability on a big murky fucking beer full of oats and malted wheat and stuff like that you would get in something like this. So I think it's I think it's a fair point. I think it's a fair point that if things do evolve, and that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? So that is, yeah. Bumblebee Bandit from Azvex in Liverpool, 6.8. Lovely stuff. Right, next one. I'm going to keep you waiting for this one because I know this is why you're here. ABV wise, I think it's the right one to go. No, it's the strongest one. Should I keep you waiting? I'm going to keep you waiting. I'm going to make you watch more of this video because I know you want to come. I know this is why I dragged you in on the thumbnail to see the Fossers here with the lovely boys over at the Craft Beer channel. Hold on for that one. Next up, another North London brewery, not a million miles away from Pressure Drop at all. It's just happened to be what I could get at the time. I think Track, them, one of the more recent West Coast IPAs, I think they're doing some great West Coast IPA. They've got a big connection to North Park, so they know all the fucking secrets. And I think Track's most recent one, maybe it was a collab with North Park actually. It was absolutely incredible. I think they've done some good stuff, which is I think they've done some bitter ones. I think they've done some of the more modern, juicier West Coasters. So I think they're a really great place to look at for. I mean, Track are fucking amazing, aren't they? So it's no bad thing. But yeah, so this is just what was in the shop when I popped in. But not by any stretch like the definitive example. These are just 3 beers that examples of the style. What I could get at this point in history, and maybe you'll watch it. So this is Gravity Well, and who's the other one? I don't know. They are. Maybe we'll find out about that in a bit. And it is called Absolute Magnitude West Coast IPA at 7% ABV. Bang on, West Coast lover, 7% West Coaster. So actually, I'll keep that for the craft beer challenge because I know Johnny likes it. Is that Willie Betcher? Well, Johnny likes one of them. Good all-rounder. I won't put him in my stemware because I know I nearly got me Teco out. I don't want to troll Johnny. He's a lovely lad. So let's get on to this from Gravity Well. I don't think it's first West Coast I've heard from these guys. So I'm curious what they're doing. I mean, it's definitely got more of a sandy sunset looking beer. I mean, not as pale as the Azvex. I'm going to say a bit hazy. I think Azvex got a little bit more clarity on this. Definitely quite a pronounced protein haze. The head, though, better on this one. Frothy, bubbly. Daz white, as my old mate Dean would say. So smell a sniff. Let's check out the aroma. What's in this then? Hops. Can we see on the back? I don't want to get my glasses out. My readers. Oh, there you go. Chinook, Centennial, Citra, Nectron. Oh, that's a lovely combination. And that's one thing that guy says in the video later on. He talks about how that you've got to have that smattering of maybe like a backbone of those old school West Coast hops, Chinook, Centennial, Cascade, that type of thing to maintain that. Maybe that fucking blatant flavor profile. Azvex went Simcoe. Once again, still quite back in the day, a real outlier of the style. You were quite a daring beer to have go all Simcoe. It was a really perky fucking hop at that point. But I think you're getting juicy these days. But then Nectaron, bit of cryo, shit like that, going modern in that direction, which I'm really interested in. And the guy mentioned something about it was nice laying like a layer of something like Chinook as well. I think it's a really nice idea. So smell and sniff. Let's check out the aroma. Did I already do that? Yeah, that's nice. It's posh. It's posh soap. It's like it's walking like if you know you are. If you like walking past the I forgot what his name is of beer engineers. It's the old walking through past the front door of Lush. A lot of citrus, very floral, lovely kind of sherbety lemon and lime. Oh yeah, that's lovely. That smells great. Maybe getting a little bit, slight hint of toffee. That smells really good. Going slightly grassy, freshly chopped up in cantaloupe melon. Yeah, it smells great. Let's dive in. Cheers. Oh, that's really interesting. Really different beers. This one, light, crisp, fragrant, slightly sweet. This it's tiptoeing back to the old West Coast, back to 2014. It's got a little bit of resin in there. It's got a slight kind of leaves on the floor of a forest. Dank. Lots of lime. That's great. I think it's the malt character. Because obviously it's a little bit darker. Maybe they've got a little bit. I think Jack's going mega pale on that one. Laying down that canvas for the kind of project hops onto. A good man once said. But then with this one, it's definitely got a little bit more of that kind of toasted malt. It'll only be like 3% or something like that, but it's definitely there. And it's taking you slightly more resinous direction. But once again, this is fucking subgenre of subgenre. I'm all about breadth of style in IPA. I drink a fucking load of IPA, my favourite style of beer. And specifically interested at the moment, especially right now, in British brewed West Coast IPA. This one, meandering back into the... That's how you meander. Meandering back into the direction of the old school, but not going bitter, but not going fruit. It's not going sweet and kind of like cloying. It's got bite. It's got resin, but it's got a load of flavour. Once again, it's that kind of grapey flavour a bit in there in the West. But that is lovely. So let's have a look at the old Untapped for this. Let's have a look. So, I've not even typed this one in, so you're going to have to... I'm such a fucking pro, aren't I? Absolute. Here we go. Share screen. Gravity well. Absolute magnitude. So I haven't got a rating yet. It's only been reviewed. It's only been checked in 9 times. Crazy. So it's not got a rating yet. Just 375. Once again, I can. Oh, the tap room, give 375. No rating. Body. Fucking train spotting in it. 375. Oh, it's a 375 then, isn't it? Oh, we've got a Unicorn at the tap room. I plan to go to Gravity Wells tap room. What I've had from them, I do like. And he goes, yes, all the best bits or best West Coast IPAs and none of the bitterness at all costs. Wow, that's a really good attitude to take. Is that Andrew Lord? See, that orange marmalade. Yeah, good shout. That runny caramel. Maybe I think browned pine needles, bruised. Come on, you make me sound like a fucking idiot. Come on, you make sound like a seasoned pro. Browned pine needles. Come on now. I mean, as in kind of dried. No, I don't think so. It's kind of like your Christmas tree that's all over your floor. Bruised pineapple, dusted in woody spice notes. It's a Hopsine fan, clearly, is this lad. I'm not as highfalutin, am I? I'm a bit more freshly up in tennis balls. Taste a top crushed, he's a good writer and everything, crushed shell on Brazil nuts. I know what you're getting at. Actually. That's quite clever. And pineapple and passion fruit roll. Oh, passion fruit. Yeah. Rolled in Muscovado sugar. I love the paint. The picture you painted, Andrew Lord. You really won me over. I thought you were being a bit poncy. You won me over with your poetry. No, that's a lovely, lovely description. I'm all for a bit of bullshit. You may have noticed. I don't think we're going to get past that. I don't think we're going to get better than that absolute peach from Andrew Lord. I'm going to have to find him and send him this link and go, your check-in was absolutely fucking bang on, mate. So it's not got a rating, but you're looking at around, once again, like with the Azvex, it's top end of 3s. People do get a bit snobby, get a little bit, oh, it's not this, it's not that. And they get a bit, what's this advert all about? What's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? What are these two up to? Anyway, so I think that's fair. I think there were fair ratings. I think it's a very nice beer, and definitely if you're looking for a bit of old school heft and the malt character, I think you're getting this. I think you'll be really impressed by that. Massively different, but good shit. Anyway, that is Gravity Wells absolute magnitude, 7% ABV. West Coast IPA brewed in collaboration with, oh, was it 7? Yeah, 7. With those guys. Skelberglen. Scandinavian, it sounds, doesn't it? Right then, let's get on to the main events of the evening. It's the good boys, Johnny and Brad over the Craft Beer Channel, part of the Love Beer. Oh, God, I want to go one year. I've got to go one year. I'd love to go. I mean, they are great lads of Johnny and Brad. I've met them a bunch of times, but I've had lots of fun and japes and laughs with those lads over the years. False Azure, Pressure Drop in collaboration with the Craft Beer Channel, as it says, double pale fire West Coast IPA, 7.2% ABV. Part of their Love and Beer Festival. Excited to be having this one again. I actually had it on keg at the Free Trade-In in Newcastle this past Saturday. So from when I'm recording this, 5 days ago. Oh, bit of verdant going on. As he scratches his shoulder. So the Pale Fire, this is a double version of the Pale Fire. Pale Fire been a big favourite of Johnny's. I might pick out. I did write to Johnny, and I'll see and ask him for some comments on this beer. So I will read them out. I'm not going to show them. I will read them out on my Instagram. I did have this, and I did enjoy it, but I'm going to think it's going to be a real different experience. But yeah, Johnny's a big fan of Pale Fire, very much a gateway beer for him in his infancy in craft beer, especially. I mean, his love for craft beer grew and grew and grew to him being fucking the chairman of the Guild of British Beer Writers. I mean, it's incredible. He's a very bright man, very intelligent man. He's a student of the game. They got in a wrestling circles. They got a student of the game. The cerebral assassin. But yeah, Pale Fire was a big one for him. I had Pale Fire quite recently at Dead Crafty in Liverpool and loved it. I found it really it had a nice kind of like bright kind of orange sherbet now. It was mega drinkable. I loved it. I mean, it's one of these pubs where you can only buy like 2/3. You can't get a half. And I was perfectly happy drinking 2/3 of Pale Fire. It was absolutely lovely. Right, and it says, so remember this class in with Johnny and Brad from Craft Beer Channel. We're just like big Pale Fire, but bigger. Tasty notes, big Pale Fire, hops, mosaic, citra. Serve, drink fresh, keep refrigerated. Blah, 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 blah. That's it. That's it. Actually, let's pour a bit more out of this. So, beer in the glass, absolutely pin bright. I mean, as far as appearance goes, could it get any better than that? Color-wise, a little bit darker than the Azvex. Not as dark as the other one. Hitting the mark absolutely beautifully. Kind of like freshly polished brass. A lovely brass tank. Oh, give it a good old polish. And that's what it looked like. That looks like absolute business. A thin film of pure white foam. So swirl and sniff. Let's check out the aroma. I don't have a pressure drop. I love Pressure Drop as well. I want to say this. One of my favorite breweries. I think they kind of like cusp all kind of styles. And I think they've got their IPA is their own style. Like Colonel do in a lot of ways. They've kind of like, they'll do a New England, but it's still be a little bit different to like what like Rivington do or something, or Azvex would do. I think, and I like that. They've got their own little characteristic. And I've always enjoyed Pressure Drop and loved visiting them a couple of years ago. Incredible, big old tap room, big old brewery for what you'd expect over the road from Beavertown. How things change. 2014 again. Oh, I remember. Anyway, yeah. So I'm a big fan of Pressure Drop. Buy a lot of their stuff, and so stop the bullshit. Get the old sniffing. Get the old schnoz in there, Rob. So if Johnny tunes into this, I'm gonna have to get to skip to half an hour, and then you're gonna get some good shit. Unless you want a bit of a little pat on the head and a peeking of the ego, because I think they're fantastic. Anyway, swirl sniff. Let's check out the aroma. And when I'm doing them on my phone, I'm fucking snappy out. On these ones, just bullshit. Anyway, aroma. Do the swirl and smell. It's funny, isn't it? It's sweet. you're definitely getting the sweetness from quite a good old heft of pale malt, which takes you towards, you know, refresher sweets. We used to get like a tube of these little hard, what the fuck were they? Little discs, kind of sherbety discs. Smells just like that. So the sweetness of kind of like freshly baked brioche. I need to turn on the fucking good stuff now. If I mean, talking to the big dogs now, if they ever watch this bullshit. Get serious now, Rob. Get the beer right as a fucking. Sorry, I am actually putting myself under pressure, oddly. Kiwi. Oh, there was something in there that really, really, really reminded me of something. What was that? Yeah, it's that kind of kiwi. That's like a synthetic kiwi kind of pop or something. Something you get from a little bottle of Panda Pop or something like that from Chippy in Wakey, in Walton, in our little village back in the day. Is West Coast IPA all about reminiscing? It seems to be for me. It smells lovely, actually. It's got beautiful structure. You know I'm a fan. You know I'm a fan, Johnny. Yeah, it smells great. Less of my fucking bullshit. Let's dive in. Cheers. Let's drink some beer. And Johnny, Brad, if you ever see this, cheers, lads. Whole different ball game once again. Really interesting. This one becoming kind of this sweet. If you could make kind of like artisan candy floss, which was flavored with kind of fucking Manuka honey or something like that. Yeah. Bring out the big guns on this one. You take it down that because it's got that slightly sugary note. It's quite a clean malt character. It's not going biscuity. It's not going toffee. It's really clean, but it's got a sweetness. Kind of melon, dried lemon peel. It's got a bit of a sucking a lolly stick. I've an orange lolly. You can get to the end of it. Which is trying to get that last bit off. Sucking that juice out of that. Sucking the juice out of the lolly stick. It's got a bit of that going on. That's the aftertaste in a lot of ways. Drinkability is amazing. But even though it's got this a little bit of heft from the, I mean, it's 7.2, it's got a bit of fucking heft to it. It's telling you there's a bit of booze in there as well. That's lovely. Do you know what? I'm preferring it here than I did on the keg. Admittedly, I've been at Don Soko drinking loads of lager all afternoon. So maybe this felt a bit big after all that. But I actually prefer the can of this. So let's right. I'm going to jump on my Instagram. You can't see it. I'm giving away the secrets. Insta. Privy to mine and Johnny's personal conversations. Not really. I just asked him, oh, I'm going to do a video about this. Do you mind if I don't think it's literally this or that or what? Do you mind? Give me a little bit of deets on this shiz. So yeah. So I said, I don't think it's maybe full on West Coast, because obviously all the kind of like modern West Coast and stuff. And I'm not sure if it's strictly a stronger version of Pale 5, which I was kind of wrong. I did watch the video, Johnny, but I completely forgot about it. So he says the aim was to be as close to the original as possible, also to push the aromas as far as we dared without losing that West Coast relative balance. He said use the word balance structure. That's the word you're looking for, Johnny. The yeast is the same and the malt build directly scaled up. Hop varieties are the same, although as discussed in the video, proportions are tweaked according to the literal bags we added. IBU-wise, we kept the restraint of bitterness of original pale file and ramped it up to balance. Use balance again. Sweetness from being a much bigger beer And then he kind of says, I'm not going to, just because he's just, I think it's just personal comment. He just said maybe it could have been a little bit more bitter. And because it wasn't as dry, essentially. But he said he absolutely loved it. I would describe this as a Cali or bright IPA. Yeah, interesting. It says it's def West Coast, but influenced by its origin. Interesting. It didn't present as a literal stronger profile. I agree. It is its own thing, but recipe wise, it's very, very close. That's really interesting, isn't it? It's just that got that when you set out to do something and you make, I don't think you can scale stuff up and it just becomes like a stronger version of it. It just becomes its own thing. And I think this is what this is. You can see it's definitely anchored in the West Coast. Whatever the Cali IPA is it actually a modern West Coast IPA? Not quite. It's interesting. It's fun, isn't it? But I think in summing up, anyway, let's just do this first. So that is False Azure from Pressure Drop, brewing in collaboration with the wonderful boys over at the Craft Beer Channel. 7.2% ABV, double pale fire West Coast IPA. Yeah, I think it's interesting that it's all right that you don't have to. It's not going to be. It's modern West Coast isn't going to be bitter. I'm sure they're still out there. I'm sure if you go sniffing around, Pete's Port, Ocean Beach. Come on now, what a beautiful place. If you go down there, I'm sure you'll pick up some Swami and it'll be bitter. I think you'll still be out there. But as far as English brew stuff, I think people are a bit like, oh, why is it not bitter? It's not, but this is modern West Coast IPA. If it is bitter, it's referencing old school West Coast IPA. But what's going on the West Coast these days is this. It's not as bitter. It's more about flavour. It's more about aroma. It's in hand in a certain way with New England style IPA, the hazes, but without the haze. So if you've got an issue with that haze, it's bringing it all back in, but giving you that drinkability that you once loved in the West Coast IPA. So I think that's really interesting. I'm kind of impressed myself in a lot of ways. So these are all really uniquely different beers. The Azvex lighter, the showcase of hops, the Gravity Well, bit more malt, referencing the old school a little bit more, but still definitely modern. And I think, and then this playing within the style. Maybe as Johnny said, maybe it's Cali IPA, maybe it's but it's definitely referencing West Coast, and it's definitely anchored in the beer where it was. So what an interesting, for me, you found it slightly interesting little meander around the concept of what British brewed modern West Coast IPA is. And on that, I'm going to, you know what? Not only because they're a bunch of bloody lovely fellas, I'm going to bid you farewell with a little swig of the old False Azure from Pressure Drop and Johnny and Rod. I'm Rob from Popscene, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Drink more West Coast.